I recently bought this book while I was at an airport. I thought I need something to read, and why not go for something I usually like Murakami. But the fun thing is that I started reading on the back of it, and I just felt like the quotes on this book were just like, what are you trying to tell me? Let's just say it doesn't feel like the people that have written these quotes felt motivated the day they did it. So one of the quotes that the publisher decided would be a great thing to have in this book comes from the Daily Mail, and it's, "The hallmarks of Haruki Murakami's longer fiction are all here." It doesn't say this is a great book, which I can appreciate. It just says you should rather read a longer version of this book, which means you should read another of Murakami's books. Or at least that is how I read it. Then it's the New York Times. Brilliant. Exploding with light. See, I don't like my own book reviews, but reading this makes me feel like the publishers should start asking booktubers to give their quotes instead of this. They also have a quote on the front cover from the Daily Telegraph. "I never tire of re-entering Murakami's world." I guess that the people, like myself, when they walk up to the shelves, they know what they like. So if they like Murakami, they'll probably buy this book because they like Murakami. They don't need someone to write that on the front cover. Also, this doesn't tell me anything about what is inside this book, other than that people felt like this was yet another book from Murakami that they didn't especially like. They just felt like it was another story from Murakami. You can tell me in the comments if you feel like quotes on the back of books helps you decide which book to go for. I have some instances where I feel like it is helpful. For one thing, it's when I know that me and the person who wrote the quote have similar tastes. That's always the case if you have like a friend you trust. This also goes for authors. So if Haruki Murakami, Fredrik Backman or Neil Gaiman wrote something positive about a novel on the front cover, I would be more intrigued, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I would enjoy that book, which probably goes without saying, but it's a higher chance of me picking it up. But if a random person from a newspaper writes something bland or something that just doesn't say anything about the contents of the book, that just makes me kind of frustrated, and I don't see the point. Then we have the famous person thing, and I guess it's always been a case of famous people influencing what people wear or what they want to buy. But when it comes to books, it just feels like peak meaninglessness. Because who really cares what Obama thinks about a book? This goes for both Barack and Michelle. Like, they've probably read more books than the average person, but still. Why should I listen more to them than other people? Why should that matter? It's also a factor of power. Reading stuff in these days, there's a lot of books that want you to become more successful, more rich, more intelligent. Like reading nonfiction is the big thing. I feel every time I log on to Instagram, people are reading nonfiction because reading fiction is meaningless. I don't need that. I'm all about self-growth and I need to read nonfiction to do that, which is stupid, but I feel like the book recommendations from powerful people helps people think that way, that they need to read important stuff, even though Barack and Michelle are also recommending fiction. So I just don't like the direction it's all going in, and I feel like the meaningless quotes on the books is just a sign that things aren't going that well. I don't know if this is true or not, but I feel like this is one of the reasons why people start going on BookTube, and it's one of the reasons why I started hanging around on BookTube, because I felt like I got a connection with some people, and then I trusted their reviews and what they thought of different books, and then we could start becoming book friends without speaking or seeing each other, which is nice. But now I'm going to try to be a bit positive, because there are instances where I feel like quotes might help me a bit, and it's especially in the instances where the people that wrote those quotes describe a mood. So if there's already a synopsis on the back of the book trying to explain in short what this book is about, then you have a second person coming in and telling you how this book made them feel. That helps sort of nuance the book a bit. And this has been helpful in some instances, but then it's all about what that person felt. It's not like, I've now re-entered Murakami's universe again. I guess that was obvious when you went to buy that book. But it's more like, I felt shivers on the back of my spine. On the back of my spine? I felt shivers down my spine. I was afraid. I was scared. Felt helpless reading this book. Those kinds of feelings, instead of just what this book is about, and then you have no idea how this is all going to go. When I started out reading a lot of books, I was constantly trying to find funny novels, because I like to laugh, and I guess I found it to be quite difficult to locate those books without going through the list of the same books over and over again. But when I then went to the store and went through books and looked at the back of the covers, people would comment things like, this is extraordinarily funny, or this is witty, or this has a lot of humor. And I guess I realized that a lot of books have humor to them without that being the main theme. And this is maybe the most helpful I've found comments or quotes on the backs of books. It's all about giving me direction in life. And with the humor, I've found a lot of books that I have enjoyed without it being like the usual suspects that's supposed to be funny. But to sum things up, I would rather go on Goodreads to see what my friends have written, or just seek out my favorite booktubers. And I think I will continue doing so, and then society can go on in whichever direction it wants. Or hopefully not, but let's just say I find the quotes on books to be quite unuseful. But now let me finish this video with one of my favorite quotes from this book. It's safe to say that there's no one like Murakami.